Okay, you are welcome once again to the third in the series of the webinar. We are trying as much as possible to engage contemporary discussions, and we have our panelists for today. But before we start, we'd like to thank our attendees from different parts of the world. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. So the panelists we have today, the panelists are online, and they have, out of their busy schedule, they've decided to take part in this. So we want to thank them again also for their time in this time of COVID-19 and a lot of other stay-at-home engagements, which for scholars, it's never going to end. It's a continuum, whether we are under lockdown or not. Continue. So today we have with us Dr. Demola Akinyoade, an associate professor of peace and gender studies, and also the director of part-time studies at Lola University. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir.
We also have with us Dr. Gold Kafilah Lola in Lorry. She's just returned to the country, and she has been battling with our electricity with us. So she's an economist, and she's into development studies. Dr. Gold. Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, good day. Good day.
Thank you for having me. Thank
you. Also with us, Dr. Funmilayo Idowu Agbaje. She is a lecturer, a fellow, research fellow, Institute of Peace Strategic Studies, University of Ibadan. Dr. Funmilayo Idowu Agbaje, I want to say hello to our attendees. You have to unmute, self-mute. You have to unmute, please. We can't hear you. You have muted it yourself. Unmute. You are on self-mute. This is good also for us to test. Unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that. I hope you can hear me now. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. It's my pleasure to be part of this discussion. I look forward to an interesting deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we also have with us Dr. Mrs. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Mrs. Ope Akin-Oyebode, who is a management study scholar. She's also with us. You want to say hello to our attendees?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here, and I look forward to an interesting discourse. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. To all our attendees, once again, you are welcome. And Dr. Blessing Nonye Oyinma is having some issues with our microphone. She is a lecturer in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Unizik, senior lecturer. Unfortunately, she can't hear us. She's trying to fix her bike. I know she will join us with time. So the discourse today is on gender, and it's about gender roles. Betty Abah was with us before. What happened? Sorry. Betty Abah was with us around 1 hour ago, and we tested. She was the one that started the discussion before we started. And she was asking, what is it about breadwinnership that should be a problem? And I was trying to take her back to the patriarchal society that we find ourselves. And a lot of people grew up with this gender role that they've been asked, portioned to them and imposed on them. The boy don't have to go to the kitchen, the ladies have to go to kitchen, they're staying with daddy, and all this imposed, you have to be a man, don't cry, a man. All this, you want to get married and they say you have to be the man of the house. You have to be the one to support and to provide for the family. And that seems to raise a lot of issues about the contemporary change of God, where the women are no more in the kitchen. They are also with us, where they should be. If I want to ask by asking Dr. Demola Akinyoade, what is your perspective on gender role that has resulted in the problem of the question of breadwinnership becoming an issue?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ademowo. I really thank you for the invite. And I don't know whether you did it deliberately. I happen to be the only man among the 7 panelists. But I think that is to fulfill the scriptures that says, blessed am I among women. I'm actually blessed. So I think this is my time for presentation, I guess.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I really like the note on which you started. You see, we need to really re-examine the concept of breadwinnership within the context of African traditional family system. The concept of full-time housewife and full-time working husband, we really need to shed more light on them. So, starting with patriarchy, we all know what patriarchy is: male dominance. They subjugate women, men hold political positions, authority, and some other opportunities at the detriment of women. So, for me, patriarchy is like a primitive response to the natural engineering of human species that predisposes women to reproductive activities and men to productive activities. It is a primitive response. What that means is that we have the opportunity, and actually we have been doing that, to evolve more sophisticated response to that. The primitive response led to subjugation of women. It led to gender inequality. But with the work of the United Nations and people like you for having this webinar, we are getting to evolve better responses. So now, to go to breadwinnership. Okay, maybe before I go into breadwinnership, I need to debunk 1 or 2 myths about patriarchy as it relates to Africa. Many people tend to think that patriarchy is a citizen of Africa. That's why many women, African women, when they want to abuse men, they will say you are behaving like an African man. Little do they understand that traditionally, African women even fared better than most of their counterparts, Caucasian counterparts, in Europe, in the West generally. Because we had people like the Yellow Jazz and Yellow Days, which are dedicated positions, socio-political positions for women. So our women are not just wife of the king, no, or queen. They held some positions in Africa. So now, so the issue of breadwinning. You see, breadwinning in Africa traditionally is a collaborative effort. The man is the arrowhead, but the man is supported by his wife and his children. So if you understand that concept very well, I will still expatiate on it. If you understand that concept very well, we will see that the concept of full-time housewife is a little bit strange to Africa. African women have been known to work on the farm with their husband. So breadwinning, like I said, is a collaborative and collective family effort. The father is the arrowhead and is supported by his wife and children. A case in point is the traditional Ijo family. A friend, Tunderaji, conducted a research on Ijo family, the socioeconomic impact of oil exploration in Ijo family. You see, the central theme in the study is that the family revolves around, socioeconomic activities in Ijo family is what upholds the family structure. The father is the fisherman who goes to the high sea to fish and then brings back the fish and gives it to the wife to sell in the market. The wife is expected to train the daughter in selling fish. The father mentors and trains his son in catching fish. The father goes to the high sea during the night and brings back the fish during the day, and then that's why they sleep during the day. And some people initially thought they are lazy. No, they are sleeping because they've gone to the high sea during the night. So because the man controls the means of production and ultimately the resources, is able to maintain his authority in the family. He's able to control his wife, he's able to control his son, he's able to control his daughter. So you see, breadwinnership is a shared responsibility in African setting. The father is just only the arrowhead. So going back to the Job family, when the oil exploration thing started and sons, daughters, and wives had the opportunity to work outside the family, the Ijo family structure collapsed. Excuse me, collapsed. But that's not where we are going today. What I'm trying to point out to us is that breadwinnership in traditional African setting is a collaborative effort. It's not something that the father does alone. The father is ably supported by other family members. So also the concept of full-time housewife, it now becomes a little bit strange because no African woman sits at home and only take care of children. In fact, one of the reasons given for polygamy in traditional African family then was that the man may have women or wives to support him in his farming activities. So these women also are expected to bear children for him, who also are expected to support him in the farm. So you see that family business, breadwinnership is something that involves the whole family. And women have traditionally played a very important role in it. Their role involved both sharing in the productive activities and also the reproductive activities to support the productive activities. So women have always been very critical to winning bread in the family. So in the contemporary African family, therefore, what seems to have changed is that women now have the choice to work outside the home. When they were working in the family business, the husband can exercise greater control over them. It can command. But nowadays, because they can work outside the homes, they have greater independence from the husband. They can choose whether or not to contribute their earnings to the family. The man is still expected to be the arrowhead of winning bread. So in contemporary African family, these new opportunities that women have had increasingly has brought in certain things. Like we now have categories of women, or let me say, the extent to which women can contribute to the breadwinning in the family. We have a category of women that I will call necessary burden bearer in breadwinnership. Necessary burden bearer are women whose husband, maybe because of death, unwillingness, or one incapacitation or the other, is unable to be the arrowhead of breadwinning, leaving the responsibility of winning bread solely for the wife. We should understand that an African man is essentially described as a responsible man if he's able to provide for his family. But there are some men who have refused or who are unable to do this. So these have thrown up the issue of necessary burden bearer women as breadwinners. Two, we have women that are willing burden sharer. These are women working now who willingly give their resources to support the family without any hassles. A third category is the category of women that are unwilling or reluctant burden sharer. They are unwilling because they would rather keep all their resources to themselves and have the man do everything. However, they're in the minority. But because the husband is unable, or the husband's resources is not just enough, these women have to reluctantly put in their resources to support the family. However, majority of women, they support their family in contemporary Nigerian family. They support their husband in the traditional age-long role of breadwinning. So in Africa, the point is, in Africa, women have never been outside breadwinning. And breadwinning has never been a sole responsibility of man. And we have never had the issue or the idea of full-time housewife in Africa. Every mother is expected to contribute in productive thing on the farm to the family's income. So we have these three categories that I've mentioned. However, Nigerian women can migrate. They have that inalienable right to migrate from necessary to unwilling to willing as they deem fit. So do I still have some time, facilitator? No. Okay, so that is my point. But generally speaking, unlike an average Nigerian man, contemporary Nigerian women, yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Can we come back to you? Can we come back to you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We know you have a lot. You are loaded for us, and I really appreciate the categories. But the question that I'm going to ask, Dr. Blessing, are you back? Okay, he's not back. Okay, so the question I want to ask, which any of these, the two other, the next person will pick on, the title was clear: challenge patriarchal territory. You have debunked that territory is not patriarchal anyway in Africa. I'm sure that is what you said, or in Nigeria, as we use Idowu as an example. We also assume also whether it's a fixated dogma that I must be the man of the house, because that seems to be the other side that you are trying to push, that people think because a young man has to be on the sea overnight, there's a place for the man, he brings for the table, that he must try to be man in order to provide for the family. Well, without trying to any prejudice to whatever you want to say, let me go to Dr. Gold. Dr. Gold, do you want to say something? You have your 10 minutes. Let me unmute you.
All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and I'm glad to be here. It's indeed an honor. So I structured it in more of abstract than what is actually happening in reality. So I'll just go ahead and speak to my paper. So the title is The Changing Breadwinnership. It's about men being challenged. So I started by saying that the African traditional family structures where the males, which are regarded as the husband, are the sole breadwinner, is progressively being altered due to the process of modernization, which is exhibited through the trends in urbanization, intellectualism, and the demand for equity by the females or the wives. So the change in these roles that the society is now witnessing has contributed and is triggering changes in most family structures, particularly in Africa and in Nigeria. And the distortion, this change has led to distortions of cultural, which is the traditional norms, and the values that characterize the expectation of a typical African woman. That is, it's typical African woman is stereotyped to be submissive, to be respectful. Even if you have the means, the way whether you still have to be, the man still has to be the breadwinner. So this is making the contemporary African families to continually confronted with challenges and pressures emanating from the competition prevailing between the traditional and the modern family values. So hence, the family pattern in this region are increasingly subjected to transform and adapt to changes over time. So I want to go to the key definition of terms. The first one is maskimo. The terms mean manliness, dominance, fearless, bravery. And typically the African family, the man is regarded as the breadwinner, the head of the family, and the everything in traditional African setting. Of course, this is being altered by the modern value. So as a result of the inability of the male or the husband to perform their financial breadwinnership traditional role, and leading to conflict in some homes, which we all can attest to. So breadwinnership, on the other hand, is you being the main source of income, being the main provider for the family, in which, from religious perspective, we can say that the man or the male or the husband is regarded as the head of the family. Therefore, you should provide subsistence for your family. But with this new trend and contemporary African setting, this is being altered and changed because of so many factors that I'll go into. So the next thing I did was I identified the African society culture where the trend exists. I focused on southern part of Nigeria, particularly the southwest. The southern part of Nigeria has the largest population of females and wives breadwinners when compared to the northern women in the northern, as in when compared to the northern part of Nigeria, where the women are still less docile compared to the southern part. And what influenced this trend? That will be the next question. The trend has been, the cause has been attributed to the fast rate of modernity, urbanization. By the time you move from the rural area to the urban center, you are faced with so many challenges, housing, increase in housing, accommodation, and the rest, that you don't have a choice, that you have to change your status, as in the man and the woman, they have to find a way of balancing. Western education has been a great influence to this trend, and they need to eradicate poverty, enlightenment, and the influence of the West. The Western influence could be in form of colonization, could be in form of social media and other forms of communication. Then I go further as saying that, okay, what coping strategies for the women folk? Whether we like it or not, this changing role has led to conflict in some homes. So how do we go about it, particularly the female? Is balancing housewife duties with career, then putting more on the table. I want to say that for me, it's kind of, it's a bit difficult, like balancing, but over time I got used to it and I'm trying to like find my way around it. Then the current deliberation of contemporary African family are now tilted towards the process of acculturation, equity, which some regarded as feminists, I won't call it feminist, is all about equity, which have helped to shape the modern family structures, as well as foster the prevalent dramatic social changes in the last 3 decades particularly. So, and I'll cite Braham 2005, he said that the shift in the society is inevitable, whether we like it or not, and the trend is caused by the process of modernization. So now I'll go to the specific impact of women taking on the roles of breadwinnership. This means that women need to be more submissive. You have to be more submissive if you are the breadwinner of your family. You have to like listen more to your spouse, to your male or husband. Then you have to respect. Otherwise, the other side of respect is disrespect. Then another thing that can impact it is health issues. Health issues could automatically make a woman to become the breadwinner of a family. If the man has health issues, then it makes the woman to be automatically breadwinner of the family. Then the societal stance. The societal stance again is, for instance, let me cite an example. In those days, my mom, the father has about 4 wives. He chose not to send the female to school while the males are to go to school. But now I think the trend is changing. You have to like send your female kids to school. And now the more the need to send more children to school, the more the need for women to work, to earn income, to be breadwinner, not breadwinner per se, but to have income to substitute taking care of those needs. Then on the part of the male and the husband, there is usually an issue. We can't run away from that when the women are the breadwinners. And this will be like, I disagree with you. You can't be the breadwinner. You can't send your female child to school. You can't do this. You can't buy this car. No, you can't buy a house without informing me. Then peer group can influence the male too. They have friends too. They go to club, they chat and so on. They're like, oh, guy, why is your wife controlling you? Things like that. Then the family influence. The families are always influencing the man. The family is still part of the society. Is actually where the society comes from. So we can't run away from family influence, the societal influence. And again, whether we like it or not, as we have disobedient men, we have disobedient wives, particularly in quotes. In typical African setting, wives tends to be more, we categorize women to be disobedient, but not on the other way around for the guys. Then the religious perspective, like I'll make example of myself. I'm a Muslim. I can't lead prayer. I don't have the leverage. I dare not. It is the man of the house that leads prayer. So automatically that makes him the head. In other religion, of course, I've been seeing some female reverends, pastors, but this is not allowed in Islam. So which still makes the man dominant in that aspect. Then the insecurity, another major challenge is most men feel insecure when the wives have more income than they do. We can't rule out the fact that insecurity is there, but we always try to be subtle and push it under the table. Then I'll just give a quick way forward. Way forward to solving this is training the male children about on the new trend of equity in intellectual and not only physical equity, but intellectual equity, which will automatically lead to more income for the female, whether we like it or not. And of course, gender balancing. That is, in family, we have to train the children to know that, see, fine, you are a boy, but it is very possible that a woman can have more income than you do and become the breadwinner without much conflict. Then another thing is more understanding between the two partners, whether husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, there should be more understanding. And we should be more forthcoming on discussion, in discussing, okay, this is what I want to do, I don't want this, and so on and so forth. And I think the bottom line is accepting the new reality imposed by either vocation or by the society that we live in. Thank you. I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gold. You attempted to capture a lot within the minute. Thank you so much. No doubt about it. The patriarchal territory that man has assumed, now being challenged, is really what is causing the shake-up. I quite agree with you, no doubt about it. But like you said, is a reality caused by modernity, education, and a lot of other. But then you also mentioned something important, which is that the dogma needs to be challenged through public education and enlightenment of the boy child. Dr. Agbaje, you have the floor. What is your opinion on this? I know you have lots to say. Dr. Agbaje. Oh, just a minute. Dr. Agbaje, Betty Abah has joined us. Betty, hello. We were expecting you. And hello. Oh, good. You are late. You are late. You are 36. Betty, can you hear us? You are 36 minutes late, Betty Abah. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So, Dr. Agbaje, you have the floor, please.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I also want to commend the panelists that have spoken before me. I must say that Professor Akinyoade seems to be a very good man. He was all out negating patriarchy in the society. Don't worry, you are safe. After all, Professor Demola is here, and then nothing is going to happen to you. Okay, I want to also start from where you stopped. Patriarchy as alien, machismo as alien to African culture. Empirical evidences have pointed to some of the history in our past as Africans as to how all this came to be. So I'm talking about historic evolution now. Patriarchy no doubt came with colonialism, but there had been time when women's life expectancy was between the ages of 28 to 30. And what informed women staying back at home to take care of their children was as a result of epidemic. And then you have situations whereby women had to take care of their selves too as mothers. At that stage in life, women must have been excused. And this excuse I'm talking about was not imposed, or were not imposed in different societies in Africa by men, but by women themselves. Women who were advanced in age, women perhaps who were at the menopausal stage of life. They actually impose what people tend to now misinterpret as, oh, women usually should be at home. You are not supposed to come out. And so this was usually a practice for a very short period of time. But with the arrival of the colonialists, patriarchal came, what we now call patriarchy, machismo, they are all the inventions of humanity. It was not natural. And anything that is not natural will not find the roots. And that is why we are where we are today as a people. It's not natural to us. Professor Akinyoade have said it. Women are supposed to be playing complementary role to their male counterparts. They are supposed to be doing their own. So what we used to have was dual sex role. You do your part, I do my bit. And without anybody feeling strange about whatever it is they are doing. A typical Ekiti family, we go to farm together in the morning. The women even tend to do more because they find out that women will still have to take the produce to the market sphere. And this market sphere we're talking about was not the type of market that we have today. Market was a political arena. So in other words, it's like a stadium, it's like the House of Assembly, where deliberations, important deliberations, are made, that even if the chiefs have meetings, they still have to come out to tell the women, because that is the what we call metropolis. That is where people get information about what is going on. So women are on their own, men are on their own. Then maybe 5 days intervals, you have to come together to deliberate. So we have quarter chiefs, we have district chiefs, we have compound chiefs. We have it at the level of male, and we used to have it at the level of females. And there was no conflict. This worked well before the arrival of the colonialists, whereby Victorian concept of women were introduced through religion and Western education. So traditionally now, marriage to us Africans is a cultural institution. It is not an individual affair. It is meant to protect the society, to keep the society ongoing. And so that is why it is communal in nature. You are not marrying as an individual to somebody as an individual. Your family is actually the one marrying to another family. What we call bride price and dowry today are being paid by the entire family. Unlike now that a single-handedly, a man will have to work hard, especially for our sisters from the eastern part of the country. You have to commercialize what we now have as bride price. It wasn't so in the beginning. And the concept of marriage is fast, let me just say, I don't want to use the word outdated, but it has lost its original traditional significance. It did because of us imbibing strange culture without scrutiny. Because I must say that it is not everything about colonialism that was bad. They came with Western education. That is why we can communicate as we are doing today. But we failed to scrutinize. We accepted everything the way we were given. And then we started losing the values that were supposed to be the pillar holding our home. So major changes occurred during this period. And don't let us forget that in our historical past, we have what we call warring communities like Ibadan. Warring communities, societies who are warriors. We have some in other parts of this country. And then we now have the egalitarian societies, people who more or less believe in equity, like Dr. Gold has said. And you find out that during war, men tend to be killed, while women tend to be carted away as slaves. I just want us to pay attention to some of these dynamics that change the status of women in family. And the moment you cut women as slaves, you have the right to do whatever you like with your slaves. So you may use them for production, and you may choose to use them for procreation. And then before you know it, you start becoming a culture. Dr. Gold said something again, which is very, very important. She said, you send your male children to school, and then you ask the young, girls to stay back at home. Why? I have an analysis to that. It's not the total analysis, but I have a part analysis to that. The concept of me marrying my husband and changing my name totally is also alien to Africans. Because it started that way. Oh, so what? She's going to leave us, and then after spending so much, nobody, don't forget I said, marriage was actually originally meant for continuity. And then so she won't bear our names again. There's no way. She's not going anywhere. So they didn't allow girls to go to school just because of that. So what is now happening? Why are we experiencing what we are experiencing today? There was a major metamorphosis. And this is because some of the barriers has been removed. Health barrier has been removed. Women's life expectancy, mortality rate has reduced. Now, you cannot say, okay, because I'm between 28 to 30 years, I'm afraid I will die, so I'm not going to work. Education barrier has been removed. More girls, although it's still there in some parts of the country, but more girls are now enrolled, in school. So there is freedom. And then we talk about cash economy. Don't let us forget that cash economy was also introduced by the colonialists. The value for money. Who determines what comes, to the family used to be solely men. And that is what I think you want us to discuss. But now for women to be making money was something that sounded as a taboo, because you said it, Prof, boys grew up seeing their father as the breadwinner. They saw their... I hope you are good, sir. Okay, they saw their father as breadwinners. They saw their fathers as someone to look up to. And then the culture has been like that. So I want to point out the fact that it's the right to own like a slave. I own you. I own you. Let us think about that. I own you. When we want to own each other, we don't want to work in partnership, but we want to own. And we are not owning in the right sense of owning. We are owning like a slave. It's what is causing this disparity, because women wants to own, men wants to own. They are no longer going into relationship as partners. You belong to me. So this is what you have to do, and then you must go that way. So it's the quest to own, the quest for servitude, the quest for, okay, why do I need to get married? I want to get married because I need a wife to bear me children. I need a wife to do this, to cook my food so that I'll be growing fat. Or I need a woman to be taking in out. So it depends on your motive from the beginning. And you will realize that from our research, we find out that if my motive for getting married to a man is for me to show him off, the moment we leave public sphere, the home is no longer safe for us. But when we go out, we want to achieve our aim of wanting to show. So partnership is very crucial, and it's fast going into extinction. And that is why it matters who makes money. That is why it matters who is taking. I think life is in a flux. The fact that the wife is making money today does not mean you won't make yours tomorrow, or that it can be vice versa. But because of the mentality that we all grew up with, I'm going to use myself as an example. There are some house chores that if I catch my husband doing, I tend to be very hungry. I tend to be very hungry. Why should I be hungry? But we have been talking about gender equity. So I want to say, even we women considered to patriarchy. We considered, we allowed it. I said, don't touch that thing. I don't want people to talk about me. Oh, please, don't do this. I will do that. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So please, I think the way forward, number one, is about the motive. We have to identify our values in relationship. Why are we going into this relationship? We have the Amazons in Dahomey. They were not married. They were fierce warriors, and they did excellently well before the colonialists came and used the power of gun to take the power away from them. We have Moremi. We have Efusheta Anibura. We have women who were productive. They were economists. They had all this well with her. So we should be able to know, why are we going into partnership? And then let us say about patriarchy, like this scholar said, Bell's Hooks says, patriarchy has no gender. It has no gender. So in order to address it, all hands must be on deck. Women should start training their young boys to be responsible, to be. You can see what is happening in the world today. Every day we hear about rape. We are talking about matricism here, but what we are having outside is much more than that, because it's about hatred now in gender. And I'm of the opinion that the 8th component of human security should be gender. Because when we are talking about humanity, it won't happen in the vacuum. It will happen between men and women. So I think I'm suggesting that as my own recommendation, that once we start seeing ourselves as human, as partners, we may stop imposing all these slave master, slave relationships that usually leads to violence in our homes. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Agbaje. Dr. Funmilayo Agbaje. I really appreciate it. Thanks. We appreciate your contribution. Dr. Blessing. Dr. Blessing, Oyinma. Oh, good. Great to have you.
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right.
Good. So you have the floor.
Okay, I have been having network issues. I'm so sorry for that. Yes, I would want to contribute to the conversation with a question-driven content. I will begin by posing some questions, such as, what is patriarchy? What is its origin? What are the features of patriarchy? How do we make sense of patriarchy? Is patriarchy threatened? What is threatening or not threatening patriarchy in Nigeria? What is the structure and meaning of an ideal Nigerian family? How is the family operated and run in Nigeria? Who is the breadwinner in pre and contemporary Nigerian family system? What has changed so far and what is the implication? Now, I would want to, have a look at some operationalization of basic terms. For instance, I will be looking at the core concept here, which is patriarchy. It's a social structure that ascribes monopoly of power to men. It's an ascription. The emphasis here is that it is an ascription, not an achieved structure. It leaves women with little or no control except submission. The system or structure that enables male domination. It is the system that enables male domination. It also lets, it is a male-centered family structure. And then we have about 67% of all society as patriarchal and about 15% of them as matriarchal society. Now, how do we make sense of patriarchy as a social structure? Now, I will begin to try to explain patriarchy from two frameworks. The first is the social biological framework, and the second is the social constructionist framework. Now, the social biological framework, the main thrust of that framework is that that biological and genetical features explains men's control and men's domination. And by that, Goldenberg hello, am I there? Hello, am I there? Am I heard?
Yes.
Hello?
100%.
All right.
We can hear you.
Okay. So by that, Goldenberg, 1973, tries to talk about the origin of patriarchy, and he sees patriarchy as inevitable. He sees patriarchy as universal. He sees patriarchy as a natural order, a biological order. You can see him taking a social Darwinistic perspective there. And then we have in this patriarchal system that females, it is believed that females invest all their biological capacity and energy in producing offsprings, and that females are resources and tools. They are seen as resources and tools over which men compete. And this is what is called as the Bateman's principle. Now, across the world and societies in Africa, there is a whole lot of cultural practices that encourages men to compete over women, to compete to have access over women. For instance, in Judeo-Christian societies, the Bible recorded that Jesus fed 5,000 men, besides men and women. In this case, the number of women were not mentioned because it is a patriarchal society. They are meant to be seen and not heard. And then if you come back to Nigeria here, you have what we call the flogging machismo or flogging competition in northern Nigeria, which is targeted at testing the threshold of pain before men could, have access to their wives or women. And then we have in eastern Nigeria, we have the wrestling competitions. And then these are various expressions of machismo in patriarchal societies. Now, making sense of machismo. Machismo as a concept describes men's behavior or men's behavior and it means to be a man at all times. That's the expectation. And Akinyeade et al. In 2018 describes a two-dimensional representation of machismo. What the first he categorized as hyper masculinity. That's a form of a traditional kind of machismo, which is negatively driven towards aggressiveness, violence, antisocial behaviors. And then the second form conceptualization of machismo is caballerismo. That's this one tends towards a more positive display of manliness and masculinity used for problem solving activities in families and societies. So in this case, this is where breadwinning comes in, because here breadwinning is now seen as one of such problem solving responsibilities which men took upon themselves. It is men that took it upon themselves, to be breadwinners as a form of, showing off their machismo behavior. Yes. So men, therefore, are in that case expected now the financiers of the family and household. Now, from the social constructionist perspective, here individuals are believed to co-construct gender roles in societies and imbue meanings to it. The idea that social institutions, knowledge are formed by social factors within that society, rather than having an inherent truth in itself. So gender roles are sets of socially approved behaviors or behavioral norms. They are social expectations considered appropriate to men and women. That is why gender roles are constantly being negotiated and questioned. And this questioning of gender roles got heightened with the introduction of feminism in the 1970s, which led to women flooding the workplace rather than staying at home, as was the norm in traditional patriarchal societies. And in this way, social constructionism began to get traction. So women began to gradually get empowered socially and economically. So this is what bettered female breadwinnership. This is what the introduction of the flooding of women in the workplace bettered breadwinnership in societies. Hello? Am I there? Hello?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. So I'm saying that.
You have 3 minutes more.
Huh?
What? You have 3 minutes for the first round. Then we'll come back to you. You have 3 more minutes.
All right. So my argument is that female breadwinnership, as found in current modern Nigeria, was bettered with the advent of women flooding the workplace. So breadwinnership speaks to the position of, providing subsistence in pre-modern society, and in modern society, it has to do with, financing households. So, and for men think that for them to take up the position of breadwinnership, it gives them that sense of manliness, and a sense of control over women, a sense of control in society. It's, fosters their authority. So the question now is patriarchy threatened? There is no definite answer or a yes or no response to this. I think this should be best understood from the perspective of social change. Now, the question is the changes going on in the family structure, is it significant or not? Now, my response to that is that this change if this change is not significant, we won't be having this conversation or discussion at all. So now what necessitated this change that we are witnessing and discussing all about? I would describe them in terms of what I call the waves of social change that is causing a shift. I wouldn't say that there is a total usurpation of patriarchy across African societies. Rather, I would say that there is a gradual shift on what patriarchy used to be. So that is why we have this perception that patriarchy is being threatened. And some of these waves of social change. Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
We'll come back. We know you have a lot to say. We really appreciate that. Okay, we'll come back to you. Let's take Betty Abah. Betty, are you still there? Betty Abah. Betty Abah. Please unmute.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, good.
I'm
so
here.
Please,
hello.
You have 10 minutes. Yes.
Hi, everyone.
10 minutes, please.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much. And yes, I apologize for coming a bit late. I had some issues with my connection. I'm really enjoying the conversation, and I had wished that I would have been the last speaker so that I would just harness all the information I'm getting, especially from the academics. I'm actually jotting down some things already, some very big grammar that I'm going to I'll be speaking then when next I have another seminar. Okay, thank you so much. So I know that there's so much information, so much potential. Is it potential? A lot of very knowledgeable people in the house. So I'll just talk basically from experience, my personal experiences and my experience in the work I do, especially with the urban poor and the informal settlements and all of that. Of course, the conversation is around. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can hear you, but hold on. I think you are making a good point. Maybe we should allow Ope Akin-Oyebode to speak. Then you start the discussion from, because you are, like I told you, you are working with the civil society, and we are the academics. You are the bridge between the academics and the public. Okay. The Town and the Gown, for the Town and the Gown to meet, we cannot overemphasize the role of the civil society. You work as a full-time activist and a social change driver. So I think we should I agree with you. Hold on. Let me go to Ope Akin-Oyebode, then we'll come back to you, so that we drive our practical experience. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Ope Akin-Oyebode, please. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Mrs. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Oyebode, can you hear me?
Hello, sir. I am here.
Please, thank you. Please, you have your presentation, ma'am. So that Betty Abah will lead us into the practical discussion, because she has so much experience dealing with a lot of issues. Yes.
All right, sir. Good afternoon. It's been an interesting one so far, and I've learned a whole lot. But as a management person, I'm going to be coming from socio-economic perspective and the management perspective of breadwinnership, the oscillating roles of breadwinnership and the like. So at first, we all know, the people that have spoken already mentioned the expectations, the typical African family, the typical Nigerian family, so to say, what people expect, what the society expects and all that. I mean, society expects that the man is the head of the family, and then the man has to provide for his family, provide for his wife, provide for his children, take care of his wife and children, and that women should, you know, take care of the home, cook and all that. Now, I also go to, I'll talk about reality because the times that we are now, it is not enough for the man to only go out to work and then the woman should sit at home doing nothing. Or, taking care of the wife, taking care of the children, and, you know, just being a full-time housewife. Some people already mentioned that from time memorial, it's not like women sit at home to be full housewives and, you know, doing nothing. But like I said, I'm going to be talking from management and, you know, socioeconomic perspective. Now, we from research or what's going on in the labor market and, you know, job market and all that, we would realize that a lot of jobs are going out of vogue or trend or something, and we realize that, for example, manufacturing sectors of jobs are not really there again. Most people are attending, or most organizations are tending towards service sector. And, you know, when we talk about service sector, you're talking about you know, hospitality, you're talking about front desk, you're talking about you know, care, you know, a whole lot. And most of these roles are always occupied by the women. And we also find out that nowadays, or these days, women have new skills. They can multitask, they can, you know, they can do a whole lot of things at the same time. I don't know, maybe that's the way God created women, the female gender outside, I don't know. But we realize that women can multitask, they can do a whole lot of things at the same time. They can work in bank, marketing, front desk, aviation, corporate secretarial works, foreign diplomacy, banking, telecoms. They can work anywhere. In time past, they'll say this job is supposed to be meant for a man. This is a man's job. This is what the man is supposed to do. But now you find out that women are taking up these roles. I'm sure that when you know, university education and all that started, when you hear that a lady is a lecturer, it sounds very, how do I put it? Like, people just look at you like lecturing, how this is supposed to be a man's job, this and that. I mean, they believe that women should be teachers, you know, in primary schools, and then they are in, you know, kindergartens and all that. So they believe that this job is supposed to be meant for a man. You see that we used to have men in engineering sector, but now you find out that a lot of women are there. People are taking up new roles. People are ready to conquer anything. Women are ready to do anything. And like I said earlier, I'll be talking about reality. I'll do more reality because, you know, you as a man, you are working, and then the woman is also working as well. Oh, and at the end of the day, maybe the woman earns more than the man, and you have children to take care of, you have bills to pay, you have this and that. Yesterday, I was discussing with someone, and she cited an example and said something like, okay, you're about to get married, and then the lady works in Warri, for example. Maybe she works in an oil firm, and she earns like 1 point something million in a year, and the husband is a teacher, earns like 100,000, 1 point something million in a month, and then the husband is a teacher and earns like 50 something or 100,000 naira in a month. I mean, she put the question to me, who should go to meet who? And I'm like, of course, the guy has to go and meet the woman, because, I mean, you're talking about reality, you're building a family, you have to take care of someone and all. But then, because of the Africa mentality and maybe the society and the way patriarchy has eaten deep into us, we don't really think about that, and then we just feel that, oh, because I'm the man, or the woman has come and meet me, and then she leaves her job, and then you get married, you can't take care of the family, you can't like do some of the things you're supposed to do. So modernity, urbanization, and a whole lot, education, you know, jobs, the economy itself is making this breadwinnership that we are seeing like a revolving and an evolving role. It's not supposed to be, oh, the man is supposed to be to do this now. I mean, women can take up roles. Like yesterday, I was talking to someone as well, and then just cited an example. and it was something like sometimes someone had an issue, husband and wife, and then the man lost his job, and then the girl was supposed to go to school, or the daughter was supposed to go to school. And I mean, the man didn't have money on him. The lady was in a private school at the time. He didn't have money on him. And the woman had money on him. I mean, what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to sit down and say, oh, there's no money here, there's no money here, there's no this and that, and then the child sits at home. You can't go to school because you don't want to, you don't want the society to feel, or you don't want your family, you don't want this and that to feel that, oh, you're taking up the role of your husband. I mean, we should not look for reasons not to. I mean, for me, I am someone that is always bent on solution. What is the solution? Whether is the person that is supposed to provide money or not, that is, let's get this out of the way, and then later we can sort out whatever issue we have. But if your child is supposed to go to school now, and then your husband doesn't have the money at that time, and then you have the money, I mean, would you keep the money under your bed or in your bank account or something, and then the money stays there, and then you can't solve the problem at hand? So, this whole patriarchy thing, as it is so deep, and then you see some, and then we get to a point where you see that we say, oh, this man is a typical African man. He's not thinking like, you don't want solution, you don't want this, you don't want that. Then, I'm also going to talk about role conflict, because when women start to take up these roles, or when women start to try to be breadwinner, let me say try to be, or they are playing that role of being the breadwinner in the family, you start to have role conflict. I mean, I go to my friend's class, and then she talks about role conflicts and social norms and all that. She's a sociologist, and we talk about role conflict, and then it gets to a point where you as the woman, because you are providing for the family, and then you just do something little, the guy just gets very edgy, or the man just gets very edgy, and he gets to the point that he starts to say, oh, is it because you're financing the family? Is it because you are doing this and that? I mean, you get role conflict, and then one role tends to suffer, and then one person is feeling so down, one person is feeling about, one person is thinking that, oh, is it because I'm not capable of doing this at this time? And all, then women lately have women these days, or let me say generally, women want to, they want better, they want something better, they don't want to sit in one place, and then we are expecting, or we are doing, or we are praying to God, and these other people want more, they want more. And then I've also realized that Nigerian women, or maybe African women, they don't mind being being a financier in the home, or being the breadwinner. They just want things done. They just want solution. They don't want it to be like, oh, okay, and then you even hear men say that, oh, I can't marry a woman that doesn't have a job. I've heard a whole lot of people say that. And why
Akin-Oyebode.
this? Because they feel that when you marry someone,
Akin-Oyebode, your network.
that doesn't have a job,
Akin-Oyebode, good. You have 1 minute to round up.
The bulk of responsibility falls to you, or everything weighs you down, and then the marriage starts to eat the rock. Hello,
we can hear you.
Hello,
We can hear you.
Okay, sir. So yeah, yes. So to round up, I feel that or from research, we know that women have some form of negotiation skills, and when they have that women have negotiation skills, and they're able to like make the man's ego to survive oscillation. I mean, at that period when things are not maybe going so well for the husband, they have that negotiation skill, and it just makes the old patriarchy thing not so, I don't know, but for me, from what I have read and some of the things I researched on, my position is that solution should be the main thing, not the man being the breadwinner or the woman being the breadwinner.
Not look at the problem. You should not look at the problem, but you have analyzed
not looking at the problem.
No, you have thrown a lot of problems. You have thrown light on a lot of the problems, which is fine.
Yes,
but you want to shed light on the problems. It's okay. Thanks, Akin-Oyebode. We go to you made a submission, or you made submissions which are wonderful. I've had young men say they can't marry women that don't have jobs these days, and I've asked them a lot of questions because I have my own reservations about that. But then if a lady should say that, I wonder what anybody will say. I think that's still a strand of patriarchy, because when a lady says, I can't marry a man that doesn't have a job, how will he take care of me? Then you ask, why can't you take care of yourself? So we ask the question. But then I don't want to, without sounding as if I'm trying to prepare ground for Betty Abah's position. Betty, madam, please come on board, please. We want to hear from you. Betty Abah. Betty Abah, yes, good. You have the floor. Betty Abah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you so much. I guess a lot have been said already, and there is not much to add. Hello, I hope I've not pressed something. Hello?
No, we can hear you, Betty. Betty, we can hear you.
What did I press now?
No,
you can hear me?
You. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, now, Betty,
so from your experience, you are a civil society person. You are the executive director of CEO. Yes. And you handle a lot of issues that have to do with domestic violence, child rights. Have you in any way come across issues relating to finance being the cause of a domestic violence, whether in a male, with a male or a female? And when I talk about domestic violence, I'm not saying the male beating the female all the time. These days, female attack male, male attack female. Things are changing at that level. Yes. So, have you come across situations like that?
Of course, that happens all the time. And I will add quickly that gender roles are also changing in terms of domestic violence. I, for instance, lost a nephew about 3 years ago to domestic violence. He was killed by his wife. So gender roles are changing, but we only hope that they will change for the better, not the worse. And so there's a lot of pressure, especially now that the economy is not doing so well. And in many cases, it has to do with money, because the man is so much is expected from the man by the society, societal expectations about gender roles. And then when he is not able to provide the attention, and so in many of these informal settlements where we work, there's fighting from time to time. And most of the time, it has to do with when it's not about if the man has not dropped the right amount of money and all of that. He feels justified that he's not able to meet these needs. He feels that it's his role, but somehow maybe he's not able to fulfill that role because of economic restrictions. And these are some of the things that we really need to change: gender construct, gender roles, and societal expectations. And apart from even basic family provision for family, that it will go a long way when families, especially those that are not highly educated, get the enlightenment that a girl, a woman is not supposed to end up in the kitchen or just in her husband's house, but she can aspire and she can also compete with her male counterparts. So this is all encompassing. And I like I said earlier, I was going to give a number of personal experiences. I remember that when I was about 10 years old, there was a major uproar in my family. And what happened? My dad's business had collapsed, and so he was staying more at home with us. Now my polygamist was married to 5 wives. There are 4 now. He's still very much a polygamist. And so he stayed at home with us, but we were young. I was one of the oldest at home then. I was just 10, 11. And then he needed to make fufu for us. We needed to eat fufu because that was the only thing that was around in the house that afternoon. And then my father decided to enter the kitchen. For the first time, I was seeing him enter the kitchen. And then he was making the fufu. And you know, the kind of fufu we make in Benue is not like Amala. Benue fufu is very thick. You have to turn it. You have to stir it very well so that it can be very, to be very soft. So he was turning it. He sat in the kitchen with his legs astride like a woman. I was turning the fufu, and we're there holding water for him so that the thing would just do quickly for us to eat. And all of a sudden, his first nephew appeared from nowhere. He had come to visit him. And incidentally, her house is very far. I don't know why she just appeared that afternoon. And then she started screaming and wailing and crying and put her hands on her head and said, "Oh, my brother, these wives have turned my brother to a woman rapper. They have killed him." She was crying. We didn't know, because for us it was just normal. We're hungry and we needed to eat. And so it was a major issue. They called family meeting, and all the wives, 3 of the wives were living with my dad. They had to apologize, go on their knees, because as far as their my father's cousin, my aunt, was concerned, then they had violated some very golden rules. They had offended the gods of the land by allowing my father to cook. So the wives had to apologize, to appease the gods, and to beg and to beg. It was a serious matter. You know, it's when we look back now, we laugh, but then it was a very serious matter. And you know, these things still exist. These things still exist. And because the man is put in a kind of a thing, made like a thing god in the house, he doesn't do many of these things. He just brings in money. And then by the time he's 50 years, going on 60, he's already developed high blood pressure. And that's why you have so many widows around, because the man is expected to feed as many children as he has hired. He's expected to build a house in the city. He's expected to build another one in the village. He's expected to do this to supply for his sister who is a widow and all of that. So we really have to challenge that societal expectation. We really have to challenge those expectations. Then I have another example of my church member. One day we were chatting in the church after service, and then he said something like, "Look, I cannot allow my wife to be made a minister in the Federal Republic of Nigeria." And I was shocked, because he was the most educated person in the church. He was actually the richest. He was paying the biggest tithes. So he was not someone to be challenged. But then he was not someone that I expected that kind of ignorant comment from. And I said, why? Why did you say that? I said, why would the government bypass me and make my wife minister? I said, can you see? That was what he said. As at that time, he was marking ICANN. He's still a very big chartered accountant. He said it's a slight on me. Why would government do that? I said, but have you seen Okonjo-Iweala, who's the finance minister? Then that was during Obasanjo's time. And have you seen Akunyili, who is doing very well with NAFDAC? He said, and so what? That their husbands are weaklings. That they should look for his own specialization and give him the position that he qualifies for. That he will never allow them to bypass his wife. Now, this is an educated man. But in terms of current trends, in terms of the dynamics of the time, he was a very ignorant man. And I even doubt if he had changed, because then his wife, who is a graduate, I think his classmate in the university or so, he just opened a plastic cup shop for her. So that was what he thought was deemed for her and all of that. And so we have this very attitude that is very prevalent in the society, because we are coming from a very patriarchal, very, very conservative background. But why have we allowed this thing to continue? How has this man escaped all the schools he has gone to and all of this? Why has he remained unrefined in his thought at this time? Obviously, because nobody has engaged him. And I had a discussion with Professor Demola today, and I told him that the problem we have in the society to a large extent is because we are not communicating. It's enough to have this kind of stimulating discussion, but do we go out to really disseminate this information? Now, I work with, like I said earlier, with informal settlement, what we call slum settlement in Lagos here. I know there are over 100 slum settlements in Lagos. And then you hear people say, oh, these people should go back to their village. Why are they in the city? They are messing up the place. And I tell them, I say, what makes you think you are more qualified to live in the city than these people? Every single person has a right to the city. The fact that they are poor currently does not mean they are less than human. And it's because government has continued to spread propaganda against these people, this anti-poor messaging. So people have caught on with the message. And it has taken social media, it has taken a lot of engagement to see, look, these people are actually, what these people are going through is a fallout of government negligence. Government takes money for constituency allowances from the federal government, and these people are counted into it. Every 4 years, they go back to this community because they are densely populated, they collect their votes so as to get the legitimacy to continue to stay in power. What stops them from providing basic social amenities to these communities? What stops them from upgrading these communities, as is done in Kenya, Uganda, Brazil, and all other places? So we begin to talk to people, and slowly people are beginning to reason with us. It's true. These are actually human beings like us. And the government will actually, has the resources, if they are serious, to really improve on their living standards. And so, my point would be that besides this kind of stimulating seminar, that we have a role as enlightening people to begin to use our various platforms to enlighten people. Just like HIV in Nigeria, people thought before now that if someone has HIV and you shake hands with the person, in fact, we've contacted it, or if the person enters the market and breathes, and you also inhale the same breath, you are gone. So you see people entering markets and everybody fleeing. It has to take a lot of advocacy, a lot of awareness, sensitization for people to know that no, HIV is not spread through things like that. And so I think we have to take on this back to this same thing to begin to enlighten people, at least so that we have more men living to their 80s, 70s, or 100s. Because there's a lot of pressure that's brought about by the patriarchal standard, the way people are socialized in the country.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Betty. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Oh, good. We'll go to the people, the participants, and I hope everybody is all the panelists are on. I'll read one of the questions. I mean, one or two of the questions. Then we'll go back to your submission. Please, Dr. Blessing, I hope you're online. Dr. Blessing Oyinma.
Please try again later.
Okay. I'll read one of the questions from Oluwadare Joshua Oyebode. He said, is it proper to lose focus on our culture, human rights, and good morality because of conflict on breadwinnership? What do you see as the way out? Dr. Akinyoade, I hope you can hear that.
Yes, sir, I can.
Yes, he's assuming that morality and human rights are linked together, and that the case of breadwinnership, asking a man to be in charge, stabilizes the home, and that we allow that to go away. Please take note of Dr. Blessing, Dr. Agbaje, Dr. Gold, Betty, Mrs. Betty Abah, and Ope Akin-Oyebode. Please take note. I'll read another comment, then we'll take all the second round of submissions. Ellen Uga, who is the lecturer in said, Professor Akinyoade gave different categories of women to women breadwinnership, and I would like to add one more: enforced breadwinnership. Enforced breadwinnership. So women in our contemporary society have been enforced to take up breadwinnership by their husband. Some women ask to handle the finances of their homes because their husband made it their wife's responsibility as a way of showing their superiority again, or ability for them to order their wife around. In some cases, the women had to take up breadwinnership because the man decided to renege on his responsibility. So for her, patriarchy is taking different forms in our contemporary society. To Olumide Olowo Layemo, he said, what is the difference between patriarchy and machismo? Dr. Bless you, I hope you are listening. Dr. Agbaje, Dr. Akinyoade, Dr. Gold, Betty, and Mrs. Ope, I hope you are all listening. So we go back to, please note the questions. Yeah. So what we're going to do, the comments we have on these questions, we'll take them when we come to you. But I will start with Dr. Akinyoade. Dr. Akinyoade, if you can hear me. The pressure from the submission of Betty seems to be pressure of both male and female, created as a result of the gender role that have been imposed on them. There seems to be that pressure. And that pressure is really affecting the way men and women have configured their life. In fact, Betty went as far as saying that it's affecting the health of men. And to me, I want to say it's affecting the health of women too. And I think in time, how do we start to unlearn? You know, it's like I said in the topic, it's a dogma. The gender role has enforced a dogma that if I can't provide for my family as a man, if I can't be in charge, I'm a failure. Then it's making them to do the unthinkable. And why doing that without knowing that they are even entrenching patriarchy the more? So I want to ask, how can we lift this burden that this situation has brought us into? This question is to everybody. But Dr. Akinyoade, you have the floor. Please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Demola, and my fellow panelists. It's been a very, very rewarding experience hearing fellow panelists talk about this thing, especially from women perspective. I know they're experts in that area. Yeah, you are correct when you say that that pressure is really affecting both men and women. And it's because men have been wrongly socialized. From all our discussion, it is clear that this thing is imported into our culture. So we have to start to realize that this thing is foreign. The idea that man must bear the whole burden of the family is foreign to our culture. So that's the starting point. And the next thing we need to do as men, having realized that, is to increasingly allow our women to support us in our breadwinning role. Don't forget, my central argument is that breadwinning in traditional African society has never been the sole responsibility of men. It has never been like that. And Dr. Agbaje supported that when she said that Ekiti women, in the morning, we go to the farm with their husbands, we bring back the farm produce and also take it to the market to sell. And in the market, they share in the political sphere, the political thing of the town. So men, African men, we have to realize that we are naturally not wired to solely bear that burden. That is why men have shorter lifespan nowadays. And I don't think many women are happy to be widowed. I mean, yes, widow. If they want to be widowed, men should try still stay with them till maybe early 70s, late 80s before they leave women. Now, but because men keep, they feel that their masculinity is defined essentially by providing, by material thing, providing material thing for their family. That's what is killing them. We have to learn that. Also, men, we have to deliberately empower our women. Nothing is wrong if your wife is earning more than you. Empower your women, empower your wife, and also your daughters, and also give them greater space to participate in the family running, in the family business. The family is not owned by the man. The issue of women adopting the man's surname is strange to our culture. In fact, among the Yorubas, we never had surnames until white people came. We don't used to have surname. What we used to have is Orukoriki. Orukore or something, not surname. So like one of the panelists said, women are married into the family, not a sole thing of the man. So women are supposed to share in this thing for us, with us men. So I believe that if we're able to do that, men will live longer, the pressure will not be on men and will not be transferred to women eventually. Thank you very much, Dr. Demola.
Thank you very much. Dr. Gold. Dr. Gold.
Yes.
The pressure.
Yes, I'm here.
Please, you have the floor.
Yeah. I think, thank you once again, everyone. It's indeed an honor listening to everyone here. I think there is a particular question that catches my fancy. Somebody who asked about, is it proper to lose, he's talking about morality and culture in the face of breadwinnership. I think I'll say that, and I'll use a layman, an hungry man is an angry man. You don't have the means for sustenance, then I don't think the issue of morality should come up in breadwinnership. I don't know, in my own perspective, there are two different things. The man can still be the breadwinner, and then morality will still not come in. I think I don't know, let me think for him. I think he's trying to say that we should look for cause women will be less immoral. The issue of morality doesn't have to do with your level of sustainability. No, for me, it is no. We have people who are not even well-to-do and they are not morally upright. I think that should be another focus entirely on the part of the family, how you raise your children or how you decide to. It doesn't have to do with breadwinnership. If you have to bring it to breadwinnership, then I'll say that maybe your ego is tripping, something like that. You feel that the moment a woman is more empowered than you then, or breadwinner, then is trampling on your ego. That should not be the case. Like Professor Akinyoade said, he said it should be co-partnership. If it is co-partnership, then there will be peace. Then we'll move forward from there. Then on the issue of patriarchy and rest, and the difference between patriarchy and patriarchy is, to me, it's more positive in the sense that we have women who are the head of the family once the man is late. We have matriarchy too. It doesn't mean that they are not morally upright or they are not. No, it's just the head of the family, the head, a bond to the entire society or to that particular family. That's how I view it. So I won't view it in negative perspective. So a woman too can be in the shoe of, can wear the shoe of a man if the man is no longer. We have our aged mother who we regard as the matriarchy of this house, and they are the stronghold of the family. So that's it. Then on education, I put so much value on education because, no, I won't say on education. We can't all have formal education. I'll say on on skill acquisition, human capital development. Human capital development can be in form of education and can be in form of skill acquisition. I think the emphasis should be on human capital development, emphasizing that where you be male or female, we should all be empowered. We should
network. Dr. Gold.
Okay, the present world we are living in, it demands that you should all be financially, as in to some extent. Otherwise, you will not be able to afford some basic things. For instance, most schools now, you can't take your word to public school again. You have to pay for private school. Unlike while I was growing up, I went to public school. My parents don't have to bother about, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
To cut me off.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So yeah, so like I went to public school. Now I don't think I can take any of my word of my child to public school. I have to pay, meaning I have to work more. We need more money. Those are the needs of the society. Those are what brought about women being breadwinnership or substituting for men or co-partnering in terms of financing and the rest. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought yeah. So
okay,
I think that's all. Then lastly I would like to quote one hadith that they used to say that in Islam, that if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Because whether we like it or not, apart from breadwinnership, it's all facet of life. When a woman is can have a means of livelihood, you are more or less transforming the society to be a better society. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Ludari Joshua, your body just corrected me that come attention that it's mortality rate, not morality.
Morality, not morality.
It's mortality.
Yeah.
I didn't get what he's trying to say, but I am assuming that because of that crisis between.
I think there's reduction. Yeah, there is reduction.
Yes, he's talking about because of that constant conflict between on the breadwinnership that has resulted in some death of some partners.
Yes,
maybe because of domestic violence, they want to be in charge. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Gold. Dr. Funmilayo Agbaje, are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, good. I mean, equality, equity, gender role in the family, people want to support. Can we find a way around you bringing anything and bringing whatever without any discrimination based on what people are earning? Is it possible for a family? How can we work out a family structure, contemporary family structure, that will accept either of the partners to earn more without necessarily putting the family in problem? How can we work out such a structure?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think conflict in families, for every human society, there is bound to be conflict. But at a point, we need to face it. How do we manage conflicts? Starting from home. Africans believe that charity begins at home. So how do we manage our conflict at home? So, because if finances and who brings what to the table is causing a major conflict and now resulting into violence, then we have to start to redefine what conflict is and how those conflicts are being managed. I would say yes, there can be, there is a way now to reconstruct the family setting in a way that nobody cares who is bringing what. I'll use myself as an example. And I think, like Madam Betty has said, it's something that can be incorporated, but it will take a very long time. But a journey started now is better not, let's start, is better than not, starting after all. It's about our young children. I was trained by a mother who believes you can be whatever your brothers can be. I grew up in a family that nobody cares who goes to the kitchen. I grew up challenging my parents because I will go to my friend's house and I'll come back. I grew up challenging my father, most especially, why do you have to help me? I want to pound yam, I'm holding a mortar or a pestle. You want to hold, there's a way we do it, in our local community. You don't do a single pounding. You do this type of double pounding. So you have your dad say, okay, let me help. Then you are like, no, don't help. And then the man insists, why won't I? And we all grew up to be what we are today because we enjoyed that during our childhood days. We never grew up in communities whereby they tend to overlook, a sex above the others. And I think I learned from that. And I want to start from there. We have to disorientate our mind. It will inform how we relate with our spouses and how we relate with our children. Disorientation now at the family level is very important. I think that is a good starting point for us. Because once your mind is disorientated, whatever you are now hearing from outside is only subjected to scrutiny. You now choose if you want to do it. If you have seen a good example of people who have done it and they had positive outcome, then you may want to imbibe it. But if this has been working for you as a family, you don't want to change what has given you so much peace to what we now, destabilize your home. So we have to talk about family. I think it all starts from the family, sir, and the mind. And then we want to talk about our traditional institutions. We are letting go. They are virtually going into, I don't know, but I think they still have a role to play. They have a role to play in all of this because at a point whereby men started dominating women as slaves, don't let us forget that all the characteristics of slave driving started with the colonialists. The beating, the aggression, the alcoholism, the abuse, the concept of virtually dressing unclad to please, not now because you don't have clothes. Our forefathers never had clothes to wear. And then we didn't report the level of rape that we are reporting now. So we have to look at our traditional institutions. And I think they may not be able to reach out to anybody without the help of the media. We think the media, like what we are doing now, should be recorded, sir. We have to record them. We have to, project them to our students. We have to reorientate them. In gender studies, when we teach, after teaching, we find students coming to our offices to tell us what they have experienced, how they have been experiencing it, and what is different, what is it that they don't know. And then we take our time to tell them what it is. Don't let us forget that what the children will see, we are looking at the financial aspect now. But many young girls now are seeing the aggression aspect, the violent aspect. And then there is an increase in our girls committing suicide, in our girls going into transgenderism, and they are going into all sorts of, because they cannot fathom what is going on in the society. The society is in disarray. So the media is crucial at this time, both social media now and all manners of electronic media that we have out there. They have a crucial role to play. Then our religious bodies. Women are weak vessels. Men are the head of the family. Women will respect your husband. They give all these conditions that are not necessary. They are not necessary in the sense that you don't have to enforce, this. It will happen where there is love. Naturally, it takes its own place. It takes its own place. So our religious bodies, they should please find it. I'm very happy with what I read these days, because now these people are being challenged, and thanks to the civil societies too. They are trying their best, even though they are not giving most time the opportunity to talk. Then the academic, we are like, once they leave the house, they are coming to us. So we have major roles to play in this. I will also quickly go to technology corporations. What do we write? There is supposed to be a sort of screening of what people see and how people handle situations like this. Don't let us forget that it's not the money per se that will now lead to violence. It's what comes after your mentality. Like, for instance, if I lose my job, I might get depressed, and then I take to drug abuse, and I start taking alcohol. And that is, most cases, what usually triggers those violence that we are talking about. And then I want to beat, I want to hit, I want to show. So uncontrolled access to drugs, to alcohol, and then loss of cultural values. And that brings me to the question of someone who was talking about human rights and our culture and morality. Our values, we have to look far behind using the rear mirrors. I hope I'm still communicating.
Yes, of course.
We have to look back using the rear mirror into our historical part. Who are we as a people? Where did we miss it? We have to start questioning. We are talking about dogma, sir. Dogma are things that are being imposed. Like, okay, just do it, and that is how it is. You don't challenge it. But we have to challenge now, because the peace of the society, relies on that. I teach top military officers. Even at that stage, when you tell them, incorporate more women into this, they tell you, no. I mean, I'm at this and that, I can't do it. So you have this vehement resistance. Yes, from our men. You have this vehement resistance until you start telling them about technology. You don't have to. They say women cannot wear helmets. Yes, they don't have to wear that chest plate. Yes, because they are biologically, not fit in most cases, so that they don't develop breast cancer. But now, women can send drones. Now, drones can meet you wherever you are. And women can do that. Women are bombers. They are jet bombers, young women, all over the world. And what they came here, they took this culture, they went with it, they are using it. Where did the whites get the ideas of using young females as jet bombers from? It's from Africa. It's from Africa. So I think we should start looking at this multi-dimensional aspects to intervene.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Dr. Oyinma, blessing. Dr. Blessing. Dr. Nonye.
I'm here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm here.
So how can we work on this pressure? I mean, Dr. Agbaje has given us different perspectives. But I'm sorry. A young man, I had a case a few hours before this webinar. A young man who does not have a job has a girlfriend that is working, and then they were to get married last year, but because he lost his job, he insisted that they will not get married for now. And for me, I put the country to him, and I tried to talk to him, saying some things. But I'm so surprised that it's not about him. He's not thinking about, he can live with the wife. He doesn't mind if the wife has to give some money for them to do whatever they're going to do. But he's worried because one of the brothers said, in Yoruba, that's in English. It means, are you the one that want to marry her, or she's the one that want to marry you? I consider this as a big pressure. Dr. Blessing, how can we manage this that have come from this gender and social construction of gender roles?
Yeah. I think this is where our conceptions of power dynamics in the family should be revisited. For me, from the example of the young man who lost his job while he was preparing to marry and then had to postpone because of the loss of his job. You see, that postponement stems from the conflict between tradition and modernity. I see a conflict between some long-term traditions or long-term conceptions of power dynamics. You know, that idea that in terms of authority expression in the family, the man should be up there and the woman should be down there. So my suggestion to that young man is that we begin to eliminate all forms of primordial or traditional, harmful traditional conceptions of power dynamics in the family between men and women, especially as it has to do with gender roles. For instance, I want to give a typical example with power dynamics as it plays out in southeastern Nigeria. And for me, that idea of seeing the men up there and the women down there is derived or associated with the conception or the concept of the husband seen as Dibule in Igbo language. That's the carrier of the house. That's the literal translation of a husband in Igbo land. They are seen as Dibule, the man, the carrier of the house or the carrier of the household, the carrier of the burden. And then the woman as the Oriak. That is, the woman is relegated to a status of consumerism or a status of being a consumer rather than being a productive member of the society, rather than being a productive member of the family, or rather than being someone who can complement the efforts of the man in the home. So until our men begins to, embrace this change that is happening in the family structure and in the power dynamics that plays out in the home, then we will continue to have the kind of scenario that you just described. And then you see where we are now having more of widows and female-headed households and greater heights of divorce and single motherhood. Why? Because some men still hold that idea that they would be fed by a woman. And then on the part of the woman, I feel that the women should also, in spite of the fact that the modern society is empowering them to earn more, to get more economically, then the women on their own should see their productivity as a complementary problem-solving position rather than a kind of rivalry between both genders, So in solving or reducing conflict in the power dynamics of the home, I am suggesting that we begin the both gender begin to see allowed a complementarity of gender roles. That's the first one. And that we should also see a situation where in terms of breadwinnership, the man also earns and the woman also earns, and both, come together to run the home, rather than, saying, because I'm a man, I won't allow a woman to feed me, or because I am not any more than my husband, then I should look down on him. No. So play down on. I think these are the reasons. This kind of mentality are the reasons behind family violence, domestic violence in our homes. So for me, the solution is first eradication of some ancient or ancient conception of power dynamics in all harmful cultures and traditions that relegate other human beings, whether they are male or female, should be eliminated or should be played down or relegated. And then, why am I saying this? Because some of these ideas, some of these primordial ideas are no longer congruent with the ideals of modern society. For instance, there is no benefit in a man overburdening himself with trying to carry the home. If I might borrow the Igbo conception of who a husband is, Demola, the man who carries the house. The man who carries the house, Demola. That means you overburden your house with the troubles, with health problems, with high BP, hypertension, with stress. Whereas you have a helpmeet, you have your partner who could also go out there and earn some money and then alleviate the burden on you as the man. And then because of your conception of that you are, it is our tradition that a man should be the provider, then you die of stress while trying to carry the house.
Thank you, Dr. Blessing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. We'll go to Ope. Mrs. Akin-Oyebode. Mrs. Akin-Oyebode, please.
Okay,
you have anything?
Okay, yes.
Yes, please. You have 4 minutes, please. Yeah, what do you have to say to this?
Okay, so
your submission, you are looking at.
I mean,
Dr. Akin-Oyebode, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And in your submission, you were talking about the management of the home and the pressure of the labor force. Do you think pride is one of the major problems in creating some of this conflict? And briefly, how do you think we can resolve this? Briefly, please.
Do I think what?
We'll talk about the pressure. And from the submission of Dr. Agbaje and Dr. Blessing, we could see that there's something they are not talking about. I'm talking about, they are silent about the use of the word pride of the partners. Do you think this pride has a place in allowing them to carry on the burden of the house, like Idowu, the one that Dr. Blessing said?
Okay, so I think Ellie mentioned something on pride and ego and how most times the male folk or the male gender have this, thing that, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and they don't a situation where it is being heard outside. The woman or their wife or the woman in the house is not financing or she's not taking charge or be the breadwinner in the house. I mean, I don't see any wrong in it, honestly, because most times, yes, ego is always there, and there's this perception, we say perception, about the female gender that once they're in position of power, so to say, they tend to should I say misbehave? I won't say misbehave, but like once they're in position of power, they tend to, let me use the word misbehave. So I don't think this is totally true, because most times the woman is there, she's trying to help you out, she's trying to help the whole house, the house out, trying to make things fine. Way forward, what's the way forward? Let's moving on, let's do what we're supposed to do. And then you as a man, you are just trying to bring her down, so to say. And then, you know, you do something and you are there saying, oh, is it because you're financing the house? Is it because you are the one that paid the children's school fees last week? Is it because you are the person that bought food in the house? Or is it because you bought clothes for me last week? I mean, you tend to injure that woman's ego. And then you know that women can be very emotional. When it gets to that part, we just start to become very cranky, and we just, you know, we get stressed, fatigue sets in, anxiety sets in, and then, you know, depression. People start to, you know, how do I put it? People start to be a shadow of themselves. Self-esteem, self-worth goes down and all that. And this is where managing people comes in. We all work in organization and you meet different people. So and you manage these people. I mean, if someone is your boss, the woman there is your boss, you are working, and then the woman or your boss, your HOD is a woman. You don't have a choice than to would I say submit or respect, or, you know, listen to her when she's supposed to, because she's your boss, and then you don't want to lose her. You manage her. It doesn't necessarily bring down your ego as a man. It doesn't necessarily put you off who you are. So most times, pride, ego can be like a problem, and then I'm thinking that the men should not always take it too far. That because you are doing this, or because you are financing the home, because you are giving me money, because you are the one that is financially stable at the moment, you are making me feel like, oh, I am not okay, I'm not good enough, I am not this and that. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We go to Betty Abah. You're with us, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll ask you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you loud and clear. I have a question for you. What is the role? Because we are talking about, based on your dad in the kitchen and your nephew raising alarm. Most times we realize that most problems that women are leading or taking charge of the house or working with their family is caused by members of the family who are females. How do we manage this situation of females against females? Even in an election, female against female. Somebody is in power, and the first people that are challenging females. How do we manage this intra-female crisis, if you have to put it that way, about leadership?
Yes, thank you very much. I think we see that situation all the time. Even when we talk about female genital mutilation, the real actors behind the female genital mutilation, the people who carry out the act, are fellow women. And there are so many enablers of patriarchy, even enablers of rape that are female as well. And I would say most of the time that these people are I consider them also to be victims of the circumstances, because they don't know any better. When people speak, you look at the perspectives they are coming from, you look at their background, you look at how they are socialized. And in our earlier conversation before now, I remember us saying that people learn these things and they can be unlearned. So these women don't know any better. And several times I give the example of my own mother. My mother comes from a very deeply patriarchal, very conservative background. And over the years, she changed a little, but there are things she has held on to. And one of them is that she's not entitled to property from her family. And so when she talks about people taking over their family lands in the village and she's very bitter, she's not bitter for herself. She's bitter that her brother's lands have been taken over. Yes, and she's so cool with it. She doesn't complain, because she's meant to believe that she's not part of, she has no share in that land. That's how powerful patriarchy is. And then when she sees other women maybe trying to struggle with family property, I mean it's so shocking for her, because she has been brought up to think that women cannot inherit family properties. That's what happens in the North Central region where I come from. I know that in Yoruba land there's a little bit flexibility and all of that. So these people are also victims of the circumstances they've seen themselves, and they need to be enlightened. They need to unlearn what they've learned over the period. I give the example all the time that I travel around the world, and in most cases, I'm the only one in the room when we have dinners that don't take alcohol. I don't take alcohol as a person. And it's because as a Sunday school child, as a very avid Sunday school child, I was told that if you take alcohol, you go to hell. If you lie, you go to hell. If you fornicate, you go to hell. If you fight your mate, you go to hell. And so some of those values have been so deeply entrenched in me. And one of the ones that have remained is don't take alcohol. And somehow my system just revolts against it. I don't take alcohol. So I don't know if I can unlearn that as a person. So that's how strong these values are. I doubt I can. I'm getting old now. So, okay, so I think these people need to be enlightened. And there's nothing, you cannot, achieve anything by ranting, by demonizing them, by criminalizing them. You just have to enlighten them. I think that is just what it is.
Thank you very much. We are coming to the end of the webinar. And what we always do is first to appreciate those who have who attended the webinar. But then we have 2 minutes parting shot from all our panelists. So I'll go to Professor Demola Akinyoade. What's your parting shot? 2 minutes, please. Parting shot, please. Dr. Akinyoade, please. Your parting shot.
He's talking. I think you need to unmute him.
We can't hear you. You unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I just did. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Everybody can hear you.
Okay. So I said it has been a very rewarding experience being in this webinar. So in conclusion, I will say that men still have the responsibility of being the arrowhead of winning bread for the family. However, they should recognize and reward the complementary role of women in this responsibility. And we should continually evolve increasingly sophisticated response to female-male, husband-wife, daughter-son relationships in our societies. Gender equality is not about having female do what male can do, but creating equal opportunities for each gender to be the best in what is best suited for in their complementary roles in bettering our lives and societies. So we should recognize, respect, and reward each gender's uniqueness and give individuals and couples opportunities to switch roles as they deem fit and as the reality of their existence demands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Akinyoade. Where is Dr. Gold? Dr. Gold.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Your 2 minutes, your submission, your conclusion, please.
Okay. Thank you once again. I've said it. My conclusion is that since it is becoming more prevalent and it is inevitable, we should continue to train the male children, not only the female, the male children particularly now, about the new trend of equity in not only physical equity, equity in intellect, and the role of gender balancing in the family. So that either of you, whether male or female, could be breadwinner or can earn income without so much hassle. Then there should be more understanding, more forthcoming in discussing the equitable role of both genders and family structure in every family structure. It should come from the family to the society, then to the larger society. Then on the part of the women, we should be more, I don't want to use the word submissive, is diminishing. We should be more understanding, particularly when the male, yes, we should be, yes, but cooperative. When the male ego trips in, we should just be more cooperative and more accommodating that, oh, it's a phase, it will come and it will go. So that way we'll be able to balance our emotion and every other thing around us, and there will be peaceful coexistence between the male and the female and the society at large. Then basically, we should accept the new reality imposed by the society. It could be in form of either vocation and every other thing. So it is a new reality. So it is now way forward. How do we put it? How do we embed it into our old culture and make it part of the new culture we have now? I think that is all. If we are able to do that, if we are able to use even the mass media to orientate people, particularly the upcoming younger generation, then we'll have a better future society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Dr. Agbaje, 2 minutes. Dr. Agbaje, 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to say that marriage is one of the most important events that takes place in men's lives and as women as well. It's not compulsory, but the moment you take it, you have to be responsible for it. So I would like to implore both men and women in relationship to be more conversative. They have to talk, they have to communicate their problems rather than aggravating the problem. I'm a storyteller, and that was why I dragged religion into this discussion. I was listening to a radio program one day, and then the pastor said all widows should come for a prayer. And then the next thing he said, don't think widows are just people whose husbands have died. For those of you who you have husbands at home and they're not working, you are also equated to being a widow. So please, I want us to disorientate whatever little we have. We try to talk about these things to reorientate the society. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Blessing. Dr. Blessing. Dr. Blessing, your party short. Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, my parting words is that families should adopt more of some democratization ideals in their families, converse more with their partners, should converse more, or communicate their needs, their fears, their worries, or even their perceived threats to what they presume as male authority. They should, discuss it with their partners and then see how some of these power issues, power rivalry in homes could be, relegated. And then there's something I didn't get to when I was talking about, when I was presenting. That is the issue. There's an issue where you tended to, in your concept notes, you tended to link late marriage to female breadwinnership. And I'm saying it is not truly the ideal. I think the working policies and job policies in modern society is what is leading to late marriage, and not necessarily the idea that women are now empowered and now working, and because of that, they won't marry. So I think that should not be the case, or that should not be the perception. Because, for instance, in banks in those days, the banks have some job policies that you for a period of when you are employed, banks in Nigeria, I mean, that for a period of time you are employed, you are not allowed, to get married. And because of that job policy in itself is limiting and also, propagates late marriage. So I think my parting word is that we should all know, both male and female, that a modern society can no longer support unproductive populations. The modern society can no longer support unproductive populations. So every patriarchal ideas that tends to make women stay at home or become unproductive should be should be abolished or eliminated.
Thank you.
Because the modern society can no longer support unproductive women.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. We'll go straight to the Mrs. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Quickly, 3 minutes. Ope Akin-Oyebode, your financial party shot, please. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Okay, Betty Abah, your parting shot, please. Yes, your parting shot. 2 minutes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, like I said earlier, I'll reiterate it again that we should take this conversation beyond this very stimulating arena and take it to the outside world. And you know how powerful the social media is now: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. Every single one of us has an audience. So you can use your platform to spread information. Like the last speaker said, he said something that really touched me. She said, the modern world can no longer accommodate unproductive people. Yes. So we really need to let people know that there are things that they have to unlearn. We are very patriarchal and very conservative society. And some of these things are not learned in the classrooms. People need to learn to be progressive thinking, to be positive, and then to be open to change with regards to gender roles and expectations. And I think that will make a whole lot of difference. We're expecting a major economic downturn because of the falling oil prices and all of that. And this reality alone is going to create tensions in home, because many hitherto breadwinners are going to lose their jobs. And if they are male, then there's going to be a lot of pressure where the man thinks that he's a breadwinner and the wife is not supposed to contribute, or the woman thinks she's not supposed to contribute, and then the house just falls apart. But if there's an understanding that everyone has a role in contributing to the upkeep, then the tension will be reduced. So we really have to go out and just disseminate this information so that people can be open-minded and can be progressive-minded. And that's how we have a progressive and less tensed society.
Thank you so much. I will appreciate it. Thank you so much. I want to assure you that all our presenters that we sent, we are going to send a copy of this webinar to them. It's recorded. I will give them a copy, send it to them via the email I have. Also, we'll find a way to get some clips out of it and share it on our platform so that others can learn. We have YouTube account which we place, and then we believe that so even some of us who are lecturers, we can use it in class as a resource for our graduates and from so far up. Before I close the session, finally, on Saturday we are going to have another webinar. This time the topic is the greener land dream, rethinking self, opportunity mining and migration. We are going to have Dr. Senayo Olaoluwa, Dr. Sheung Anibowoshe, Mr. Sheikh Mulu from Canada, Steve Abori Shade, Mrs. Funke from UK, Dr. Adeko Kekaude from somewhere in Denmark. We are going to have Mrs. Tolulope Oyini. That's on Saturday. For now, I want to thank our attendees and participants for their time. We really appreciate you. To our panelists, Professor Demola Akinyoade, thank you so much. Dr. Kafilah, thank you so much. Dr. Blessing Nonye, Dr. Funmilayo Agbaje, Mrs. Betty Abah, Mrs. Ope Akin-Oyebode. Thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you so much. Until when the next webinar on Saturday, we'll get back to you definitely. Thanks for your time. We'll get our application letter around to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We are grateful. Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.